down, chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Damn, set, watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Die podcast, man. I'm your host, Mual, Hand Dog Mual, Coach Mual, all that good stuff, man. AJ's in the building. Dre is on the way. Make sure, let's get the administrative items out of the way first. Make sure you are subscribed to the Trap or Die podcast. And whichever way you are listening or watching, man, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button. We appreciate it. If you are listening on your favorite audio platform or app, man, do us a favor. We reached one person last week. They listened to us. But give us some more ratings and reviews, man. Help us out. You know, we definitely appreciate it. It takes 2 seconds to do. It don't even cost you anything, you know what I'm saying? And it helps us out. It shows us that you support us. Put it that way. Shows us that you support us. So we definitely appreciate that, man. If you had the time to do that, leave a rating and review, or even just leave a rating, all that good stuff, man. We are featured as well on the Hogs Haven SB Nation's blog site. So yeah, make sure you can tap in with the hogshaven.com. You'll find our work on there. Find some of our captions, some of our conversations from the Trap or Die podcast. You can find it on there as well. Like I said, AJ's in the building. Dre's on the way. AJ, man, how you feeling, big dog? You in here?
Yeah, I'm straight, man. How are you?
I'm all right, bro. I'm all right. Last time we talked, I was still in the boot. So I finally got out the boot as of yesterday, literally. So I'm out the boot, man. Still on crutches for the next 2 to 3 weeks. For what they call progressional weight bearing. So basically training myself to walk back on my foot again without the need of a crutch. So not out the woods yet. Well, I'm not out the woods until like next year, but in terms of just like no assistance, I'm not out the woods yet, man. But things are good, bro. I'm in a good space, man. Got to see some football today, some live football. You know what I'm saying? So things been pretty good, bro.
You was out here tooting and booting it.
Hey, look, nah. First off, I don't know what you meant by that, so I'm not even going to acknowledge that. But nah, I was definitely out there, man. You know what I'm saying? Got the nosebleed beaches. Had a bird's eye view of everything going on the field, bro. And I picked the best week and the best day to go. It was only like 79 degrees. I don't know how we got that blessed in July. Well, August now, but shit, yeah. I ain't complaining, bro.
Nah, that's good, man. I'm glad you was able to get a hands-on experience of what's going on out there. It sounds like it was the first day of pads too.
Yep. So absolutely,
definitely lined it up perfectly.
Yeah, you still out of town?
Yes, sir. Until September.
Till September. Damn. Wait, are you gonna be able to watch it? I mean, there's ways to do it nowadays.
I don't even know. I've been trying to figure that out. Like,
oh, you already know where I was at it,
bro.
Yeah.
Let
me send you an app. I'm gonna send you an app right now. Hold on.
What? Yeah.
I got you. Hold on. I'm gonna send you a junk right now before I forget, bro. Shit.
That's why I'm not even on the video. So.
Hold on.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to hear. I'm excited to hear your recap because, of course, I could trust your opinion more so than some of these other people that's out there just commenting anything and saying anything.
Ready. What's going on, Marcus? Appreciate you checking in. Appreciate everybody who just tuned in as well. Yeah, bro. So I sent you the app. That joint does a good job of like it posts like all football, basketball, soccer, and baseball. So at the very least, if you're out there since September till September, you may get lucky. Because I don't know if they ever post preseason games. I don't know, but that's
the main thing. Preseason, I'll be ready to go for regular season, but preseason definitely want to, be able to get some eyes on that, or maybe I got to do NFL Plus.
But yeah, that's actually a good point. NFL Plus probably got it. But I mean, another thing though, you're gonna have there's even websites I can show you. I can send your way that'll have the games. But I think an app is probably a good place. But if all else fails, yeah, NFL Plus, especially since you're gonna be out there for the whole rest of the month. But no need to pay for that just yet.
Definitely not.
What's going on with you, Dre? How you feeling, big dog?
What's good, man? Hey, AJ, you ain't get on the VPN. All you gotta do is get a good little VPN. Put that joint in any little country or state you want to put it in. You straight. Huh?
What is a VPN?
So VPN is something. It's really supposed to protect your online identity. So hackers can't just tell where you are. But because of what that is, you get to also change your location on a VPN. Like you can put whether you're from in Brazil, America, whatever. So yeah, if you still wanted to use that and get past some of those regional codes, man, get a good little VPN. I mean, you can get a little one-time fee and cut it off after you don't need it no more.
Gotcha. I'm gonna look into it after this conversation.
Do that, man.
That's actually they had something they was promoting recently about some VPN. I forgot the service, but like ExpressVPN or some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they've been promoting that shit lately. That'll definitely be. Dre's not lying. That's probably a good idea too, because you can move. You can change that location as many times as you want. For real. Wherever you at. That's not a bad idea. Okay. So on the show today, man, I think we have a couple specific topics that I think is going to be good for us. But obviously, as you all know, we went to train. Jerry, you going to training camp this week?
I was thinking about it. I'm not sure because I'm going to Philly on Thursday, so I may not be able to make it like I want to. So, but I'm relying on you, Mark. You said you would.
What you got going on in Philly, bro?
What you going in Philly, special, man? Look, taking a little random little trip. Sometimes we like to take little road trips. You know what I'm saying? We go up the road for a little bit, eat a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
little random little trip with a little shorty, huh? Or the family.
Hey, what they call them in Philly? They call them the Johns.
The Johns.
I can't take a John up
Johns. Which is a wild name.
Hey man, look, some of them, you know what I'm saying, just they earn the title, but you know what I'm saying, look, that's not bad, bro. Enjoy your time in Philly, bro. I'm about to be up there. My cousin live up there, and I ain't seen him I ain't been up there in a couple years, so I'm gonna definitely pop up sometime one of those Fridays or Saturdays. But
crazy, I'm supposed to go up there September for a baby shower. My cousin's having her first child. So
early September.
I think it's like the day before the 11th.
It's not on a Sunday, is it? Ain't on NFL Sunday.
I gotta look. If it's on a Sunday, I damn sure ain't going. They gonna have to FaceTime me.
To send them a gift, man. Their registry.
Yeah, no bullshit. Like I tried to make it, but schedule something came up. Fuck it. Yeah, bro, that's what's up though. Now, Philly a good time, bro. Every single time I'm out there, bro, it's a good time, bro. So,
same.
Enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. After Hall of Fame game, bro, you ain't got nothing to worry about over there.
No, Bruce, they never play anybody in them games.
Bruce said, "Check on them Eagles fans, Dre. You got a job. He putting you on assignment, bro."
Hey, that's why I'm going now, and that's September. I don't want to deal with them jokers, man.
Bro. What's going on, JB? Appreciate you checking in. All right, so let's go ahead and get the ball rolling, man. So, like I said, I went to camp today, so I gotta try and organize my notes. My notes are organized, but I gotta I didn't quite typed up on Twitter. I didn't typed up in my app. So let's try and figure this thing out. Let's start with the bigger thing, the bigger picture, because obviously that's Sam Howell. And we'll kind of go under the umbrella from there. Seeing Eric Bieniemy in person was crazy, like, because and it's weird to say this because I'm in a space where, like, I understand what coaching sounds like and I understand what coaching is, but think about it like this. Dre, you was at the train. Well, AJ was there too. So y'all been at training camp before, but y'all haven't been there with the bleachers yet. But think about, like, when you walk down to the hill where the fields are, and that that near end zone is where Eric Bieniemy is, right? Him and that offense, that first team offense. And the offense couldn't get whatever Bieniemy was going through and trying to install. The offense, first team offense, messed up 2 times. First time was on the first time they stepped out there. And he was pissed off already. Or very animated, I would say. Like loud enough to the point where probably the whole entire stands, team, defense, everybody could hear him. But I think he was really just talking. And that's so when people say like he's very loud, I think that's the experience that you hear. Like he's not even yelling. He's just very like his volume is on 100. And like that's an intense individual. And the reason why I say that is because like he's at the near end zone. I'm like seated in the bleachers closer to like the 40-yard line or the 30-yard line of the opposite end zone. So like you can picture like how loud that is for us, where he's pissed off that the first team offense couldn't get something going out of the huddle where it's just scout team on defense. It's not even full 11s yet. So that experience, understanding what EB is like in person was very interesting, and you got a full dive of understanding who he is. But moving forward from Bieniemy to the players, Sam Howell, a couple people have asked me, including you, Dre, like how was he looking? And I think, and let me actually, I think this is a really good time to slide this in here, this information. For those who listen and watch Trap or Dive. I know this for a fact that you all listen. First off, some of you all listen because I know y'all be waiting to hear what AJ got to say, which is love. But some of y'all and majority of y'all listen because y'all trust us and y'all understand that we're not bullshitting over here. And when I say that, I need everybody to understand that there has been people who have said Sam Howell hasn't really had down days, either that or they haven't acknowledged them. And then there are people who have said that Sam Howell hasn't been good at all. And those are extremes, right? But I think the ebbs and flows of a training camp is acknowledging what you're seeing in the moment and recognizing trends. And prior to me getting there, I got information from people who I trust that I can come back here and tell you all, because I trust them, that the last 3 days heading into today, August the 1st, wasn't good for the offense. And Sam Howell has been up and down in terms of his consistency or his ability to produce efficiently enough. So with that context being said, what I saw today was another day of Sam Howell having his ups and his downs. I don't think that that's a big deal right now, but I do think when an offense overall is trending downward after some impressive days to start camp, it's something where now it's starting to catch your eye a little bit because you're getting a little bit more physical. Your offensive line had pads on today, and that offensive line, especially against the starting D-line, which is obviously the D-line is full of first-rounders. They should dominate, but like they had plenty of times where they would have got to the quarterback. I think if you all seen a highlight catch from Terry McLaurin online where he caught it over the shoulder and I think he dove for it or something like that with an extra effort. It was a great catch and it was a great throw by Howell, but he would have been sacked by, I think, Chase Young. And I think obviously that's going to get ignored on the video. And I'm not even going to comment on the video, but I'm going to tell you all here that was a sack. And I know I went from O-line to Sam Howell and Sam Howell to O-line, but like thinking about these things in unison, when you think about Sam and as an individual, I saw a person who had moments where he stared down Terry McLaurin 3 times. And for those who are actually on Trapper Dive YouTube channel, I actually put up all my clips in a video. So if you want to pause this live stream, which I would just say wait to the end and listen to us now. But if you want to pause the live stream and look at it now, you'll see exactly a couple of the clips that I'm talking about where he stared down Terry McLaurin and it almost got him in trouble. 2 of them were a PBU and one was a drop pick. No, I'm sorry. 2 of them were PBU, and one of them almost had Terry McLaurin's head taken off. If this was real live action, like the safety is barreling down. I
was gonna say, can we jump into that a little bit? Because I swear that's one of my main things I've been saying about Sam Howell. Like,
all right. Well, hold on. So I do want to, like, I'm gonna come back.
I know you got a whole scope, but you know that's what the people really tune in for. They Hall of Fame quarterback Sam Howell.
Hey, but look though. So here's one of the things. You're not lying. Like, I actually, again, it's another thing that I actually called out when I broke down this film against Dallas. He missed opportunities staring down his tight end in that game. It wasn't Terry that game, but he missed opportunities staring down his tight end and like maybe not recognizing the coverage or maybe not confident enough in what he was seeing. Like, he may have been seeing the right thing, but he just wasn't confident enough. So he's saying, all right, I'm gonna just get the ball out of my hand as quick as possible. I don't care about anything. But yeah, to what AJ is saying, I don't know exactly what the trend is. It wasn't that many reps to really determine if he's not trusting what he's seeing or if things are moving too fast for him. But for him, and I'll give you the floor, AJ and Dre, and we can talk about it a little bit more. But like what is nerve-wracking, even back into the Dallas game for me, on the negative side of Sam, because I have some things to say that worked out well. But the negative side of Sam is like possibly the fact that he isn't able to really let a play develop enough to where he trusts his progressions. And that's something where it's like, okay, you're seeing a lot of things from the media side, or maybe even from fans who've been there, but like, are we seeing the whole entire picture? Or maybe they just happened to miss the plays where, you insert the balance of a young quarterback who isn't really, light years ahead of what you expected, but also understanding he's a younger guy. So I'll give you all the floor there, but yeah, he's had some ebbs and flows. And one of the things that really always stood out to me was the fact that, he did have that stare down habit, and maybe that may be something that's going to be hard for him to shake. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why it's been a major concern with me with naming Sam Howell the starter, because I think it goes beyond just them making him the starter. If you look at his collegiate career and the offensive scheme that he played within at UNC, they never asked him to read a defense. He was making one reads like the entire time. And it's like, it's very few guys that can come from that type of scenery from an offensive scheme standpoint and adapt to the league. It really takes an elite talent to overcome those challenges and also being put in the proper system. And that's one of my main concerns. I feel like, of course, everyone is deeming this defense to be a top 5 defense, I guess you could say, or whatever. So yes, they'll have the upper hand in a lot of these practices, but you still want your guy within training camp to go through progressions and not necessarily try to force feed a guy when there's other guys open within those concepts. Because I'm pretty sure, I mean, I'm not at training camp. Dre hasn't been there, but we all, prior to you even being there today, Mual, we've all been watching the videos. And from even the videos, I could see that guys are being force-fed the ball instead of actually going through reads. And you can't get sacked. So that's even more reason to do so, So it's just kind of alarming with that. But I guess, we'll see against the live reps next week. The first preseason game is against who?
I think the Browns on Saturday.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see the actual live reps in preseason, because I feel like there's some within the media that cover the team that I don't know if they're scared to lose their credentials or what. They're not really calling it how they're seeing it as far as Sam Howell. And then there's some that's actually being transparent fully. But I think everyone will be able to get a better sense of how he looks within this offense and be able to critique it in that first preseason game next week. Because I think what I've seen so far from the video clips and, just a little briefing that you provided us on as we didn't brief before starting this episode. You know, those are the main concerns with Sam Howell starting at quarterback for me.
I mean, and well, that's why this was one of the first question I actually asked you today. I was like, how does Sam Howell look? I mean, we know that Sam Howell has been the story. You know, he is the number one storyline in training camp. You know, this is the first day of pads, but again, some of the coverage we get, I mean, and this is how it's going to be any given year. You know, most people don't want to tell you if a guy's just looking straight out bad. I mean, I know we heard some of that with Carson Wentz last year, but we even still had, you know, some of the main guys coming in and saying, oh, he's not that bad. You know, it hasn't been as bad, but you kind of knew where it was slanted. But even then, you still can't really take so much from training camp, because you can have a guy go up in there and light training camp up, but that doesn't mean he's going to go up and light the season up. You know, and the same thing with Sam Howell. And if he's looking bad, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to start bad or have a bad year. I mean, you know, you just kind of look for flashes, especially with unknown guys. You want to see what they can provide. Like that Cowboys game last year, it was nothing you can really take from that too much. I mean, it's one game for one. I mean, anybody can go in and look great or look bad in one game. But even in that game, I didn't think Sam wetted the bed, which was a great thing. But he had a lot of fortunate circumstances going his way in that Cowboys game. I mean, it was a lot of, you know, short fields. I mean, Cowboys were just giving mistake after mistake. Sam Howell starting on the 20-yard line lots of time. You're talking about fumble snaps on punts or fumble punt returns. He was getting those type of circumstances in that game. So that wasn't really you know, on top of that, you feel like the stakes weren't really there. There's nothing to play for really for Washington side, and Cowboys, you know, they were already in the playoffs, even though they were still fighting for, you know, a slim chance at a division champ, but they really had nothing to play for. So you want to kind of see Sam in those, you know, those type of, you know, stakes on a week by week basis that we couldn't tell in that game. And even training camp, like I say, he's playing against a defense that is supposed to be a lot better than the offense, at least. I mean, this is supposed to be a really strong unit, and he's playing against these guys every day. You don't expect Sam to go out and light it up, but you know, to AJ's point, you do want to see Sam go out there and handle himself. Now, you know, before you went out there, Mual, I feel like we haven't really got true coverage on Sam. I mean, because who's really going to provide that besides a lot of fans? And a lot of fans want Sam to work right now. So they're going to come out and give you the best of Sam or tell you the best of Sam and kind of ignore the little things. But that's fine. Like again, a lot of people need to kind of remove that attachment and just kind of be more objective when watching Sam. Like, I want objective coverage because I don't have an attachment to Sam one way or the other, whether it be me thinking Sam's going to be a great quarterback or if I think Sam's going to be a bad quarterback for whatever reason. Like, I want objective coverage on it, and I just haven't seen a lot of that yet because, like I said, I feel like people want to either be too nice or you're going to just have some people, oh, well, he was a fifth-round guy. He wasn't this. So it's good to hear that you went out there and, you know, even with your report, you told me he was up and down. That's fine. I mean, that's kind of to be expected. I'd be shocked if he's going out there killing these guys.
Frozen training camp, bro.
Yeah, you know, I'd be shocked if he's going out there, you know, throwing the ball, ripping up and down the field on these guys, you know, and I also be kind of shocked if he's like super terrible. So, I mean, I kind of expect the up and downs, but even with all of that, we just don't know how that's going to apply to a game-by-game situation for Sam. He just hasn't been in enough of these situations. I mean, he's essentially damn near a rookie because he only played one game last year. So going into this year, it's like your real first year starting. So we're going to find out a lot from him that we're not getting in training camp right now. We're going to see it in game action. And that's really what I want to see right now.
Yeah. For Sam, just to close it off on Sam, and we'll continue on with the other players too. We do have a topic on Sam that I think is going to be an interesting conversation regarding Terry McLaurin. But to close it off on Sam, I think obviously Dakota. All right, bro. I think the good, like, his accuracy is there. Like, you see it, right? And I posted a couple clips. Like, he had a good ball too. I think De'Ami Brown downfield, the deep ball. I think we all knew his deep ball was pretty strong. And probably is one of his strongest suits. But I think when you see like how he performs best and what I saw today, like, you can listen to every, like, the beat reporters or the radio guys who are there daily. He did really good in the one-on-ones and obviously the sevens. Those were his best. And to be honest with you, two of those, I told you he had 3 bad plays. 2 of those actually came in sevens. But he was still at his strongest in sevens. But to that point, I think, like, without seeing the full scope of a defense is where he is most comfortable right now. Like, and I don't know what to take of that after one day. I'm not going to be the person that's going to draw that conclusion. But I think what I'm here to do, and Dre, eventually when you go there, and what we're here to do is to help contribute in drawing the picture for you. I'm not going to draw a conclusion after one day of practice. I'm going out there 2 more times. Going out there one more time is just foolish. I mean, excuse me, going out there just one time is foolish. You got to get a couple of those reps in. But I think when it came to 11s, it doesn't help that the defensive line is having their way for a good portion of the 11s when you're in there with the ones. And that kind of hurts too. When we go to some other people in other situations on the team, let me pull up my notes. I think what really stood out is, again, when we talk about the offensive unit, is the first team offense, man. They had, and there we go. All right. So the first team offense, man, it started out with the first team offense against the second team defense, and the same thing on the other side, the first team defense against the second team offense. The first team offense is in a goal-to-goal situation. Both sides, like the first team and second team, for both sides of the ball, had opportunities in goal-to-goal situations, and the first team offensive line and is getting stood up on run plays literally at least 5 yards in. Like, you're 5 yards away from the end zone, and they went 0 for 3 in that goal-to-goal situation. And the only way they got in the end zone, and this is kind of actually crazy because, like, I don't know if you all noticed, like, but when you think about people's bread and butter, right? Like, you only put out the bread and butter when you need it, type shit. Like you don't want to go like with a traditional play, or you don't want to go with another like, if the concept is getting the ball in the end zone with a run play, or like your pride doesn't allow you to get shut out, right? You're going to do something. You're going to pull something out your bag that, you know, you probably didn't want to pull out, like, in this situation. Point being, and point that I'm making is, the first 3 plays of this goal-to-go situation, the first team offense gets stood up at the line of scrimmage on 3 consecutive run plays. Every running back falls short, and one of them, I think, got blown up in the backfield, right? And then the fourth time on 4th and goal, you run a shovel pass and you get in the end zone, like a trick, like a kind of a movement play, essentially, where, you know, sometimes where you get to Travis Kelce, he runs like a goddamn loop, and you just pitch it to him the same way Patrick Mahomes pitches to him, get in the end zone, thing like that. Ran a shovel pass with Logan Thomas, and he gets in the end zone. I don't know what's going on right now in the first day of pads with the offensive line, and it may take them some time to, like, gel together, get used to the defensive line that they're going up against. But for them to get 0 for 3 in a run game when you're within 5 yards of getting in the end zone, that's a problem within itself. Let me go back to my notes. I do think that a couple people had some good days offensively. De'Ami Brown got open a couple times in his one-on-ones. Now, that, of course, that wasn't full team drills, but just seeing his ability to defeat, like, press coverage, but also, like, work that deep field, like, that's really good for him. Obviously, knowing, you know, what he does good, but if you can work those post routes, those 9 routes, those slant routes, I think that's really good for De'Ami. Danny Johnson had a couple solid reps. He actually won a couple reps against Jahan Dotson, and that was a really good day for him. Byron Pingle, he showed his veteran savvy. He actually had Forbes and Wild Goose in one-on-ones on a couple of occasions. He beat them, but he also had reps with the ones. So for a person who's only been here for less than a week, seeing him with the ones is something that's interesting and something that you can take note of, because, you know, there are specific people who aren't getting in with the ones at all, and Byron's getting those reps. Let's see. AJ, your boy Ben St. Juice was in with the first team defense when they ran the Cinco package, the five-man front. It was Ben St. Juste and Emmanuel Forbes on the outside as cornerbacks. Cam Curl was one of the middle linebackers, along with what's the new guy that they got? From Seattle. Barton. Yeah, Cody Barton. Yeah. So Ben and Forbes were seeing some reps in the Cinco package with the 5 down front. Let's see. Yeah, the reps. I mentioned the Sam Howell where he stared down McLaurin on 2 reps. Yep. Bird Dog and Terry. Screen game. Screen game was terrible today. Like, there was, like, the timing was off. The overall execution was off, but the timing was off offensively. The defense was able to stiffen out because there was no patience and there was no setup available for that offense to really get things going. Even actually one of the first plays of full 11s, I didn't even mention this, was a fumbled snap from Sam, I think. I'm not gonna put it on Sam because I don't know, but it was either Sam or the center because it didn't reach the running back or anybody else. So it was either the center or it was Sam. But that's me being nice. I think it could easily be Sam Howell. But yeah, first snap, like this offense just wasn't there today, and that's from everything from the offensive line to the execution to the quarterback. Like, I think it got to a point where I saw Sam, when he made some of his mistakes, he bounced back with some completions, but it was like, I just want to see something positive type of completion. Like, I just want to see something positive, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it 2 yards out and let them try to make a play type of deal after he then got himself into some trouble. And then I'll stop here on one person, Brycen Tremayne, undrafted free agent out of Stanford, receiver, had a hell of a day. First day in pads, had a couple contested catches, one near the sideline, which I posted on Twitter, and then another one where I'm sure that somebody else probably recorded, but he went over top in sevens. He went over top of somebody, like yammed him for a touchdown, 45-yard touchdown in the end zone, where he made a play out of nothing on a scramble drill type of deal. So Brycen Tremayne is somebody where I would say after one day, like I noticed it before he made those plays. I'm like, all right, I got to watch cuz. So think about that name when preseason starts. If you all are listening and watching, look for Brycen Tremayne. That's probably going to be a name where it's like, because ain't nobody talk about him before this. He may have just had one good day, but I don't think this is just one good day. Offensive line, last one, I promise. I know I've been talking a lot. What's this dude's name? 64. He went up against Vidarian Mathis a couple times. And
Mason Brooks is what I
Mason Brooks. Yep, Mason Brooks. So the first time it happened, my man that was with me was like, yo, that dude just straight stonewalled Phil Mathis. And I looked over there when it happened, so I missed the beginning of the rep. But then Phil get up, start clapping. Like, let's go. Like, we back at it. Like, he back at the line of scrimmage. Both of them back at the line of scrimmage. Whole group hyping them up. Juan Castillo over there geeked up because the undrafted free agent he just shut that shit down. So he over there geeked up. Phil and Mason Brooks line up again. Three technique and guard. So line up again. Mason Brooks, pancake dude, bruh. Like, pancake him and just shove him to the ground, bruh. And then he flex over top of him. And that man, Juan Castillo, hyped up, jumping up and down, bruh, geeked up. Like, you seeing that jump from like, you can hear him cheering, like the whole sideline from the offensive side geeked up while Phil on his ass. And y'all know Phil, my man, but I'm not about to, I ain't like, what it is, it's football, bruh. So like, put him on his ass. Back-to-back plays. Mason Brooks, undrafted free agent. He plays guard for the Commanders, man. That's another person. When I mentioned Brycen Tremayne, Mason Brooks is another guy that we should be paying attention to. So I said a lot, and hopefully as people were listening, y'all took some notes or y'all just heard some things. But definitely, man, it was a lot to take care of. It was an interesting day, a really good day for their first day of practice in pads. But yeah, man, I like what I saw. But the offense overall, the first team offense was something where I'm like, yeah, this has been a trend over the past few days from the people I talked to that they have not been looking too good.
So do you think it's because of the offensive line or because of the quarterback play? What exactly from your vantage point today?
Oh, well, I mean, I think it's both. Remember I mentioned earlier too, like Terry made a really good play that's probably all over Twitter right now. But there was a sack. He got sacked on that play. The interior.
I also
line,
thought it could have been. I also thought it could have been a pick if the safety ain't slipped.
I don't think he could have made it there, AJ. I saw that play. I don't think that's.
I mean, who was the safety? Did you see it live, Maul?
I saw it live, but I didn't know who the safety was.
I felt like the safety could have made a play for that ball. I don't know. That's just what I looked at the video. Of course, I got beat up on social media.
He had a zone.
I'm about to start cussing motherfuckers out on social media.
No, because AJ be riling. He be riling the Hive. But see, now that's the thing. Sam Howell has a Hive. Like, I mean, he hasn't even really had a whole starting string of games yet, and he has a Hive. Now, I hope he validates this Hive because I want to be in the Hive too. But I do think it's a little weird that he has a Hive right now. So, AJ, just keep that in mind when you are tweeting these things.
I didn't even know that. The crazier point is I didn't even know who threw the ball, nor did I care. Because like I've been telling y'all, I just want them to put themselves in position to win games. You feel me? Whoever's playing quarterback. It could be Stevie Wonder back there lining up behind Nick Gates, to get the snap. I don't care. I just feel like some people, because I do voice my opinion here on the show and on social media and tap in and chop it up in those spaces. Sometimes they think I'm a Sam Howell hater, and I'm just like, bruh, I don't get the hype or the love for the guy. I'm just like, let him get his chance to show you what he can do before you just gravitate to him. Because it's kind of like how we went through the cycle last year with Carson Wentz. Everyone was trying to come in the comments and tell us that, Carson Wentz going to be better. He gonna get back to his MVP type year. And what happened? He was ass. So, I mean, I think that's my main concern with the offense, man, because I definitely could see that the scheme is way different than what Scott is running, but it's been hard for me to grasp, especially not being there. Of course, I talked to some guys on the team and just chop it up with them in general, but I can't really figure out if these offensive issues is more so because they don't understand what they're doing, or is it because the offensive line isn't holding up against the Paynes, the Sweat, the Young, and Allen, or what exactly is it? Is the quarterback delaying the process with not making the right reads, getting the ball out quickly? What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you got it, Drake. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, we don't know, but at the same time, I mean, again, like I said, we do expect the defense to be better than the offense. Usually in any training camp, any vibe, any one of these settings, it's always said that the defense should be better first because they always have a head start on these things. But we are going to play against some good defenses this year. So, even if, you want to see him at some point, in the offense at some point look good. And hopefully, that's what Eric Bieniemy is kind of installing and stressing. And this is why he has guys, taking reps off, or he'll make the first team sit out for however long, because he wants to get things right. I mean, he's been around success and he's seen that success, and he's going to hold guys accountable. And that's what they need around here. So hopefully, it's one of those things where, hey, you are playing against, some really sharp iron here. So, we're getting better in the process, but you may not see it as fans because it's so early on in the process. I mean, that's just the optimistic point of view that we want to take. I mean, but kind of to Maul's point, Maul brought up a couple of instances, the Mason Brooks guy. I like hearing stuff like that, stories like that. Like, that's one of my favorite things about training camp is learning about the guys we don't know about, like the undrafted free agents or maybe a late round draft pick.
Like, think about doing that to a second round pick, bro. Like,
exactly.
He won't know who he's up against, bro. He got a point to prove.
Yes, I mean, and those are the type of guys we start hearing about in training camp, and you may not be the first person that bring him up. Like his name will come up again, and those are the names we look out for on cut day. You know, when cut day come around, you're like, oh, this is the undrafted guy I think is going to have a chance to make it, and he's also in a position group where you feel like you need those type of bodies. I mean, nothing is established on that offensive line anywhere you look, whether it's the tackles, the guards, or the centers. You have positions available there, and you want someone to step up and make a name for themselves. So Mason Brooks is a name I'm going to be looking out for. I mean, I'm going to be looking for him in the preseason game. And then the Tremayne kid, like you said, Mual, we haven't heard this guy's name at all throughout any of this training camp because not because he hasn't stood out or he hasn't been really good, but it's a lot of good players in that position group. I mean, this is something we talked about last week on the show, you know, as far as position battles and what we're looking forward to in training camp. And I mentioned for me specifically the 4 to 6 group in that lineup. That 4 to 6 wide receiver group is going to be a hell of a battle. Like we know what the 3 guys are. We know you have Dotson, Samuel, and McLaurin. But then who's going to be the guys that step up and solidify themselves? Remember, Cam Sims is gone. He's not there anymore. Cam Sims was a staple here, you know, amongst that back end group of wide receivers. But now you have Dyami Brown, who's been here a few years. Obviously, he has a rapport with Sam Howell from college. You know, he's a guy we've been waiting for to kind of step up into some kind of role here at some point. And then you have the rest of those guys like Eric Bieniemy. You know, obviously he's had his influence with the Byron Pringles and the other guy we just signed recently, Matt Kemp. So we have 2 Kansas City guys in that wide receiver group, the veteran guys who we'll be kind of looking at to say, hey, maybe those guys will be in the back end. But then you have these guys stepping up. I mean, there's even a guy that people were loving, you know, when we signed him, Tinsley, the guy from Penn State. He's another guy to keep an eye out. Like, we haven't really heard his name. Then you have Kashmir Allen. Obviously, you want him to make the team.
Was smoking people today, bro.
And
he was smoking them, but he ain't getting no good balls, bro. No,
but we want this guy to be on special teams as well.
Too late. It's live. Whatever. I don't care.
It's all good. Yeah, you called it, so you got it.
Pause. I got to pause, man. I said the other thing, man. I ain't trying to get caught up with no.
It's all good.
I don't want no beef.
That boy this about to be our last Trap or Dive episode.
Hey, no, it's all right. Cam and Mace can't get him. He's straight for himself. He good. But no, Kashmir Allen, I mean, he's another guy we've talked about ad nauseum, you know, since we've signed him as an undrafted free agent. But he's a guy we want to make this team on special teams. Like, we've witnessed, you know, no explosiveness on punt or kickoff returns, and Kashmir Allen is a guy that can do that. So you got to figure that he, you know, at least in the coaching staff in the front office, man, he has a leg up kind of in this competition as a guy that they're going to keep on that back end because of what he may can do on special teams. So that's why I said that battle was so intense. I'm going to be looking forward to that. And Tremayne wasn't a name that I had heard, you know, as a guy that may be to watch out for or look out for. But what Mual said, he's seen him. And not only with Mual, I also seen a couple of videos of him today making a couple of tough grabs. He's going to be a guy on the radar. So that's the type of stuff I look for in training camp, to see who's making that name for themselves that we don't know about. And that's also why Sam Howell is such a big name, because as fans, we really don't know about him. Like, when a lot of people want to get in an argument with you about Sam Howell, the first thing they do is tell you to go put on some North Carolina tape. I want to see NFL tape of Sam Howell, you know, and that's the thing. So, I mean, the North Carolina, anybody can look good at college, as I told you.
Like, come on, bro. Like, he been in the league for a year.
Yes, I want to see NFL tape. You know, the North Carolina tape doesn't move me right now. That moved me when I didn't see any NFL action, anything. I want to see this guy put tape on consistently. So don't tell me to go look at that. This is why I'm going to ask questions about Sam. This is why Sam is a focal point right now in the training camp. We want to know about him. We want to see about him until we can actually see consistent game tape on this guy.
So let's insert this conversation here, AJ, with the Terry McLaurin thing. I'll give you the floor. You got it. But I want to make sure that since we talking about it.
I was going to ask you 2 quick questions. Is Tremayne African-American? Because I never have heard of this player before.
I don't know. I say this. He was light-skinned, so I don't know what he looked like. he looked more so on the lighter side. I don't know if he's white. Okay. I don't know if he's African-American.
I've never heard of him before until today.
Well, his name's Brycen, so I feel like that may be black. Like,
let's figure this thing out right now. Brycen, oh, it popped up already. Brycen Tremayne. Okay. Looks a little mixed. Let me find an actual image.
You got that Marcus Mariota look.
Looks a little mixed, you know what I'm saying? Oh no, he white. This guy's white.
All right. So the next question I would ask you, Maul, who had the better day, Jacoby Brissett or Sam Howell?
AJ trying to start something. You know he trying to start something.
Yeah, but I honestly, off one day, I'm trying. Yeah, Jacino. Hey, you said it perfectly. Like he looks a little like the black hair makes him. I thought Asian as well. He looks
like Rui Hachimura.
Wait, he said black. No, I don't agree with black. I thought
like
I actually misread this part. I do see Asian in him, but I don't think he's black. Like he looks more so white and maybe Japanese. Let's see, Jacoby or Howell. I would say probably Jacoby. Probably had the safer day. But I think for me, a person who was only there and I'm trying to capture certain things, it's hard for me to say like concretely who had a better day. I know this much. Jacoby didn't make some of those mistakes that I mentioned with Sam specifically. He didn't make none of those mistakes today. He didn't have any blatant turnover worthy passes. He made some wrong decisions in terms of processing or progressions. Like I mentioned in class where Jacoby, he took a deeper shot for a guy with Cole Turner running an over route underneath the deep ball, the deeper route. And you had the over, and then you had a post maybe over top of that. And he took the post route, and it was a matter of fact, that one almost was a turnover. That one was almost a turnover. But he had Cole Turner underneath wide open. But that was probably the only one that was memorable that I think of with Jacoby, where I'm like, all right, that wasn't good processing. So I mean by default, Jacoby. But it's like, AJ, honestly, there was nothing special about none of the quarterbacks today. Like it really wasn't. And I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing, but it's clearly not a good thing, especially first day in pads. And that's even scarier to think about, that it wasn't nobody stood out at quarterback.
Yeah, that it's definitely alarming. And I mean, they've been practicing since Thursday, just with Sunday off. You would hope that the offense would get one day up on them so far, and that hasn't happened yet. So, I mean, that's concerning.
I think, the real key.
Oh, go ahead. You got.
I was just gonna say the real key too. You know, they tell you a lot of times, especially in our case, because we don't know about the offensive line, but it's always really hard to gauge how good an offensive line is at, keeping the defensive line at bay without pads. Obviously, today was the first day of pads. I mean, I don't know how, if they struggled a lot like they have been doing pretty much early on in training camp, but that's something to keep an eye on as camp goes forward with the pads on. Will the offensive line start, at least, holding their end up on this defensive line?
So let's go ahead. We can close out. We can circle back on Brian Robinson and the running back groups all together when we get some more information. But let's close out with Sam on the Terry McLaurin situation. AJ, you can walk us through what you heard. Let the people know what you heard. And I also sent a promo clip from the Pivot podcast where he actually Terry mentioned something. He was on the Pivot with Eric Bieniemy. I haven't seen it yet. But in the promo clip, he mentioned specifically, because I sent it to you all, what did he say? He said, sometimes when you know that you don't know, that can be a good thing. When he was talking about Sam Howell. So I'll give you the floor to kind of paint the picture for us, and we can close out on this conversation.
Yeah, I think it really just came about when Terry McLaurin had his moment to speak to the media. I think it was yesterday. He spoke to the media yesterday, and I'll read his quote in regards to the quarterback. He said, "This is a quarterback-driven league. Everyone is looking for that guy. We're still looking for that guy. We want someone to be consistent and grow with us. Sam has done a great job being a leader at a young age. He has a confidence you can't help but notice." So that's the end of the quote. And I actually did watch that full episode with Terry McLaurin on the Pivot with Ryan Clark. Channing Crowder and Fred Taylor as they visited the Commanders training camp. And he pretty much regurgitated the same thing and was pretty much alluding to the fact of, he kind of been going through the cycle of playing with, all these different quarterbacks and the league is a passing league and not necessarily having that guy. But he did say at some point in that conversation, he said that he doesn't want to compare Sam's swagger to Joe Burrow, but he feels like he has a little bit of that. He's not like super outspoken, but he feels like he's one of those type of leaders where he'd rather show you than, speak on it too much. And that's what kind of reminded him a little bit of Joe Burrow. But the main reason why I wanted to bring it up is I just feel like as a player, man, you know what you got in your quarterback or you don't. And I think over the years, unfortunately, he's been in this quarterback carousel. We've kind of seen him champion for some quarterbacks in their tenureship here, and you're not really seeing him do that with Sam. And I think it's a bit alarming to me because I just feel like that's your number one wide receiver. You kind of want him to like voice his opinion on the quarterback more as far as like vouching for him, like saying, I feel good about him and the intangibles that he brings to the table and what he's doing with the ball. Like the leadership stuff and everything, that's cool, but like how does he actually look on the field? Because they went through OTAs, they went through a couple practices, while making these comments. They also have spent time in Fort Lauderdale, throwing. And I just feel like for me, Terry hasn't really gave that stamp of approval from Sam Howell yet. And I'm also kind of concerned, what does this do for his career and how he starts to feel as a player if Washington can't seem to get this quarterback situation addressed? I think next year could be a major stepping stone for him, just going further with my ideas. He might want out of here. Because, at some point, you can be as soft-spoken, good-hearted person as you want to be. Like, you want more for your career. And it's funny, I didn't even know he was the one that was going to be on the Pivot episode, but he touched on that in the episode. Like, he touched on his journey as pretty much a fifth-year player. Even like Channing and RC said to him, when you see a guy stay in college for 5 years, you typically think he's shit, like he ass. and you've proven us wrong in that regard of coming in as a third round pick or whatever. And he kind of leaned a lot in that conversation on his faith, and you see other guys having the rapport with their quarterbacks and being able to put up the numbers that they're doing and winning games, and not necessarily having that so far in Washington. At some point, I just think, for me, looking down the line, I'm like, damn, like if they don't figure this quarterback thing out in the next year and a half or whatever, you could possibly see one of the fan favorites asked to be moved from this team. So that's why I just wanted to touch on it, how y'all feel about, Terry McLaurin's comments in regards to Sam Howell, and do we think he could possibly be the answer to, stopping this carousel?
Well, personally, AJ, with Terry McLaurin, it's kind of hard to really take a lot of his comments seriously when it comes to his teammates, because Terry's always going to take the diplomatic approach. You may not really get Terry's true feelings on a lot of things. And even if you try to read between the lines, it could be a little difficult, because in this situation with Sam, it's like, maybe Terry's at a point of growth. Like you said, he's, in the previous years, he's had to endorse guys. He's had to go out there and tell you that the offense is running smoothly with Ryan Fitzpatrick. It looks great with Dwayne Haskins, who was, was his college running mate. It looks good with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was vibe. I feel really good with him. Terry's going to say these things. Like, Terry's not going to give you any sound bite or anything to kind of question what he's, bringing to the media's attention. So if he's not like overly enthusiastic at this point with Sam Howell, or maybe he's not, expressing that in press conferences, you got to kind of look at that and say maybe Terry's at a point where he doesn't really want to endorse a guy or go fully over the top for a guy because, he's witnessed these things go bad, and he's just kind of trying to keep his expectation level set to medium, with the Sam Howell. Maybe that's what he's giving him. I mean, but again, I don't know. But at the same, to your other question, as far as is Terry, a threat to lead, who knows? And that could be a thing. I mean, Terry is human. Terry's going to want, at some point he's looking at his age, he's like, hey, I'm not getting any younger. I stayed in college for, a good amount of years. I'm getting up at age. Maybe I want to go somewhere where they're winning. That's fine. I mean, and no one would blame Terry if that's what he wanted to do at this point. But at the same time, as a Washington football fan, or whatever the case may be, whatever we want to call ourselves in the future going forward, we have to look at it as everything's kind of starting new. You look at the ownership, as a fan, you have to kind of have that mindset too. Like, yes, we may love some of the players we've had and everything, but we're entering a new future. We're entering a new era. I hope Terry retires as a Washington Commander, whatever they're going to call themselves going forward. I hope Terry does. I hope Jonathan Allen does as well. But if not, we have to say, hey, those guys went through hell and back here. They could have left years ago. So if they're ready to go and they're ready to move on, who can blame those guys? We're not going to be mad at those guys. I'll welcome them back with open arms personally. But we hope we hope those guys stay. But at the same time, as far as what Terry may be saying in the media or what he's not saying, as far as the Sam Howell goes, for me personally, I'm taking that with a grain of salt, because I'm like, maybe Terry's at a point in his career where you have to show me consistently before I get my own hopes. I mean, this is Terry talking. Like, as Terry McLaurin, I can't be too high on a guy, and then he comes out and he gives me, very little again, as I've been receiving most of my NFL career. So I'm taking that approach as a fan. Like, right now, I want to be on Sam Howell hard. I want to be, pause. I do want to be a big fan. Hey, I caught myself. I want to be a big fan of Sam Howell.
Nah, that was hella pause. That was hella pause.
And I caught it.
God.
But
like, if Mason,
it, you know what I'm
saying? Cameron was on here to be like, hey, yo,
hey, AJ, yo. I want to be on every tweet you make about Sam Howell, telling you how wrong you are. I can't do that right now.
Hey, yo.
I would love to, but that's the point I want to get to with Sam Howell. And that's my whole point with this, is that, I want to back him, but I could be feeling like Terry McLaurin right now. I could be backing this guy too early, and then he turns out to be nothing, and then we're back at square one again. And then I'm frustrated and I'm upset because I really thought this guy was it. And that may be what Terry McLaurin is, and maybe he's just learning how to be, more careful with his words. But at the same token, if Sam Howell goes out and he's not good, or he is, bad or whatever, we're going to look back and say, damn, we could have read between the lines with Terry's comments. But right now, in the moment, I just don't think you could put much stock into it, and I do think that Terry hopes that Sam is the one, obviously, because he loves it here.
Let me ask y'all some questions, man. Matter of fact, I don't even need to ask y'all. Let me just go through the list. Case Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, Cole McCoy. Right? That's 1 year. Let's go ahead and go to the next year, right? Dwayne Haskins is the one that we already counted. So let's go to Kyle Allen, Alex Smith in 2020. That's five quarterbacks that I went through already. That has played for Washington in 2019 and 2020 total. 2021. Taylor Heineke, Garrett Gilbert, Ryan Fitzpatrick for all of a few plays. 8 quarterbacks. 2022. Sam Howell, Carson Wentz. That is 10 quarterbacks that Terry McLaurin has played for since 2019. And y'all, not literally you all on the show, but people are worried about his hesitancy to endorse another quarterback. 10 quarterbacks in a span of 4 years, or 5 years, whatever it is so drastic compared to the rest of the league. And when I mean the rest of the league, like there's a very small percentage. I don't have them off the top of my head, but I'm sure it don't reach the level of Washington. There's a very small percentage of teams in the NFL right now who has the amount of turnover at quarterback that Washington has had in a span of 4 years. And when I look or listen to what Terry says about Sam Howell, a rookie who has only played one game in the NFL and had one start in the NFL, I don't care that he didn't endorse anybody. Personally, I don't care that he didn't endorse. I also don't think that Sam Howell is in a position to get endorsed. I think what we do know with Sam, and since we're thinking about a Kansas City team with Eric Bieniemy, and you think about Patrick Mahomes, like that first year that Patrick Mahomes was riding the bench behind Alex Smith, people were telling their staff how good Patrick Mahomes was in practice. They didn't know what the fuck was going on. They just knew he was doing something. They was like, bruh, I don't know who he is yet, but he is cooking us. And Sam, I don't think he had those type of ringing endorsements, but like we know that the defense and some people in terms of the players have reported back to coaches about Sam Howell and what he has done. And I'm not comparing the two quarterbacks, but what I am saying is for a Terry McLaurin, I think his internal optimism is perfectly okay, along with other players who are internally optimistic about what Sam Howell could be for this team. It's perfectly okay. But to go out on a limb and stick your neck out there for another quarterback who has already seen 10 starting quarterbacks, which includes Sam Howell, I don't think he wants to put that energy out there because I think that he thinks it's not fair to him. So to what AJ is saying to a degree, I think that it's okay for him to consider his future after a year or two doesn't go right. But I also think that Terry is a person, and I'll get back to the quarterback side. I'm going to Terry right quick. But I also think that Terry is a person who understands his situation in Washington, which is why he signed the contract in the first place. He signed it with no future at quarterback. So he's not going to give up because there's no quarterback here. He may love Washington for what Washington is and what Washington means to him. And he wants to see this thing turn around. Similar to a guy that we all know and love, Santana Moss. He stayed in Washington for years, knowing that there was no stable situation at quarterback. And the time that he finally thought that he had a quarterback was 2012, which was like a year or two before he retired. Like, it took him a long time to figure out what the quarterback situation was going to be in Washington. And he never had a clear-cut answer. So I think when you think of receivers, but also in relation to Sam Howell specifically, I don't know if I'm going to go down the lane or the well of a person who should be endorsing the Sam Howell. I think that he understands his situation, and I think he understands, and he's been in Washington long enough to know that you can't endorse anything until you see that proof on the field that solidifies who that quarterback is, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. That's kind of where my head is at with a Sam Howell and how Terry McLaurin feels about the quarterback situation.
No, I mean, I respect it. I think I was just more so, we kind of bored. We ain't seen live action yet, for real. And I'm just like, hey, man, I'm just curious. Might this lead to Terry winning a trade next year? You feel me? Because I think at some point, like how you name all those different quarterbacks, at some point as a human, you start to think about those things. And I would encourage everyone that's listening and will listen, and including my co-host, to watch that Pivot episode. I think it gave a great glimpse of
I'm about to watch it as soon as I get off.
Terry's personality, It's the most in-depth interview of Terry you've ever witnessed as him being an NFL player. It spoke a lot to his character, his personality, whatever. You could tell he felt comfortable, and a lot of it wasn't just focused on football. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, man, we all here on this episode, we want the quarterback position to be fixed. We have the projections that we think is going to be hard. Well, I guess you can't necessarily say hard because you don't know who's going to pan out to be what at the QB position next level. But ideally, we all come into this feeling like the number one consensus quarterback in next year's draft is Caleb Williams, right? Mm-hmm. Or Dre, you still on this Drake May shit?
No, I mean, I've always said Caleb is the number one quarterback, but Drake May is number 2 for sure.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it's just intriguing, man. And I guess the offense not necessarily looking good is very concerning, you know. Yeah, I mean, I know we've been on here for a long time, but I guess I wanted to ask one last question. How did Wiley... How did the tackles look, Wiley and Leno? And I also read a little bit about Nick Gates having like high snaps or something.
So I'm gonna this is gonna be really short. Wiley, I only seen a couple reps from Wiley. Wiley got one rep where I saw Montez Sweat beat him on the inside. He overset in his pass set. Matter of fact, one-on-ones. He overset in his pass set, and Montez won inside for a sack. And full team drills, full 11s, I didn't see much of Wiley. I actually have some clips in my phone that I can just roll through as my own quote-unquote game tape. And I can give a final answer then. Today's been pretty busy for obvious reasons. But Wiley... I would just say NA, incomplete, not available yet. Nick Gates. That's matter of fact, Amani asked me about Ricky Stromberg. I don't know much about Ricky either. Offensive line altogether prior to the full 11s where they were at midfield, where I can see him a little bit clearer. It was hard to really see a lot from the trenches, which was frustrating because that's exactly what I was hoping to see. But they were on the other side, closer to the other goal line for me. So, AJ, I don't have much of an in-depth answer for those guys. I just saw a couple reps from some random players, and that just happened to be 64, the Mason Brooks guy. And then obviously I saw a couple from Wiley, but I remember Montez Sweat beating Wiley on one. Charles Leno on the left side had him and Chase Young battled yet again. That was a really good battle between those two. But yeah, that's kind of my answer for the offensive line. I know it wasn't the greatest answer, but you can't see everything in one practice.
Nah, it's all good.
Well, it's all right, AJ. We're going to find out next Friday. We're going to have a lot more information next Friday on that offensive line if you can get you a good VPN.
They play next Friday.
I think it's next Friday.
Yeah, we're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn a lot from preseason week 1 and also that joint practice against Baltimore.
Well, actually, too, AJ, the dress rehearsal game is against the Ravens as well. You know, that's the second preseason game of the season. That's where they're going to play their starters the majority of the game. And I love that it's against the Ravens. Last year, the dress rehearsal was against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs dogged us that dress rehearsal game. And that's when they showed us, you know, how the season was pretty much going to go. So this Ravens dress rehearsal game, I'm looking really forward to that because I really do think it's going to tell us a lot about the season going forward.
It is next Friday. I don't know why I thought it was Saturday, bro.
Yeah, I think we got the Ravens game is Monday night. The dress rehearsal game, that's on Monday night. Yeah, but the first one is on Friday.
I'm gonna be on.
We played the whole AFC North in preseason. I think the last one was against the Bengals.
Bengals 1:00 on the 26th. Yeah. What day is that? Oh, that's a Saturday. I'm sure everybody play on Saturday that day too. Okay. Damn. Okay, so I gotta figure out how I'm gonna watch this Browns game.
Hey, you gotta rearrange some things, man. It's the first preseason game, Maul. Let's go.
I know,
Friday
bro.
night.
I know. We're gonna make shit shake.
That's a long time between now and then to get sick.
Has Eric Bieniemy spoken to the media yet?
I don't think
he hasn't, has he? Because I mean, I know they do their little. Some people get the interviews after Ron does, but I don't know if Eric's spoken since training camp started.
Yeah, I don't think so, bro.
Because Jack hasn't either. I don't think we've heard from Jack as well.
That's actually a good point. Jack hasn't spoke. Bieniemy spoke in. He spoke in many camps, I think, but yeah, he hasn't. They haven't done those.
What y'all think about y'all boy possibly being suspended?
Who?
Jameson Williams?
Jamin Davis.
Oh, James. Oh. Is that what they're saying? Is he gonna be suspended? Is that the talk?
I mean, it sounds like they trying to put that boy in jail in Loudoun, for real.
Because it goes from. I mean, look, bro, he did something real dumb, bro. Like real dumb, and it ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about like his decision making. Not for real. Like I don't understand, and I'm sure. I think I remember hearing some like Ron had a talk with him or something like that. But like Ron probably told him like, "What's at stake here? Like you got to be smarter than that." But bro, like, why are you even doing that? First of all, why are you even doing that after? And I hate when people do this. So I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. I'll just leave it there and just be responsible. But I think that for Jamin, knowing the experiences that he's went through, I think that at the very least, like wisdom is learning from situations and learning how left things can go, even if you are in the right sound of mind or right frame of mind. You can't predict like tragedies, and I think for Jamin, I think doing something like that, in a 100 something in a 45, bro, like stupid, bro. Like I think to your question, I'll just leave it here. I think to your question, AJ, what I think about him being suspended, I think that he's well deserved. I don't know what the backup situation is going to look like. And I think people think team first in situations like this. They don't really care about the person. It's like what happens to our team. But for Jamin, you earned a suspension, bro. Like that's so stupid.
And to answer your question about being a backup, Mo, I think right now he is the backup. So I think, at this point he's the def. But I mean, yeah, again, I mean, it's one of those things where it's a misdemeanor in the state of Virginia, but at the same time, a misdemeanor in the state of Virginia, the maximum penalty is, prison. So I don't know if that's going to go down for him. I highly doubt that he'll see that point, but it is, I guess, grounds for suspension if he's convicted or he's found guilty, and you just have to deal with it. I mean, it's like you said, it's a very stupid thing. You need to be held accountable for your actions. If you did this anywhere else, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to get some kind of consequences. To the average person, the average citizen, like, any one of us, we probably get something a little bit harsher than what the law would actually give Jamin Davis in a situation like this. So if the league, or even the team, deems fit to suspend him, I agree. I mean, he's earned the suspension. But, I mean, at some point, he's got to be more focused. I mean, the knock on Jamin, well, not even a knock, but one of the good things about Jamin and one of the reasons why this team drafted him is because Ron thought he was mature and he came from a military family, and these aren't the type of things you deal with when you draft these type of guys. But obviously Jamin hasn't lived up to be the football player we've drafted him to be, and then you have these type of issues which kind of doesn't solidify or justify why Ron drafted him as far as being a mature guy or being ready for this league at this point. All around right now, everything about the Jamin Davis pick just looks like a bust. And I hate to say it because you hate the optics that come with having that label. But we're ready, to see Jamin grow as a man. I mean, he, at this point, that's what we're looking at because we didn't even think we were going to have to look at that when we were drafting him. But we're also looking at him to grow as a football player at some point. And time's kind of running out on that. So, hopefully this is a wake-up call for Jamin.
Hey, side note, I went to middle school and high school around Fort Belvoir. Dog, military kids are some of the worst people I ever met in my life, bro. Like they are bad people, dog. Like bad behavior. So it's interesting when I hear people use that as a prerequisite for like, especially like sports teams. I'm just like, bruh, that don't mean a damn thing. Like, but
remember AJ, that's what we heard a lot about with Jamin. Oh, he grew up in a military. That was one of the things we've heard. That's why they drafted him.
And I'm not saying you're a bad person. I mean,
he's just speaking about military.
Yeah, someone that grew up someone that grew up and lives in Virginia, bro, to be going 114 and a 45 anywhere is insane, bro. Like insane, because you're gonna get pulled over, but then even what's at risk for your life and others, and also what you already been a part of, like and it was recent. Like you just were a part of that. It's like someone lost their life, bro. Like, yeah, that is mad irresponsible. And I hope, I hope that he's got that wake up call. I don't even know if I could say that, because you would think someone tragically losing their life would be the wake up call you would need, but it's just one of those things.
That's it for us, man. Enough talk, enough football talk. We had a couple pauses on this show already. That's enough for football, man. The fellas will be back next week. We'll figure out the schedule then. But we'll be back next week, all 32, back tomorrow, right before the Hall of Fame game, man. I don't even care that the Jets are not. Who is it? The Jets. I don't even care that the Jets are not playing their starters. I don't give a damn. I'm glad the football back. So I'm cool with that. I'm going to watch as much as I can tomorrow or Thursday. But all 32 back on Wednesday, man. We're going to kick things off that way. But yeah, the fellas on the Commander Shop will be back next week, man. We're going to tap into, hopefully we get a guest on, a reporter who's been there every single day. We can tap into things like that. But we're out of here. Y'all be safe, man. Enjoy y'all day. If you made it this far, man, again, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff, man. But we out here. Y'all be safe. Appreciate y'all. Peace.